Hi, I'm Mark Hartman with James River Armory, and welcome to our latest video, back to the 1970s. In the 1970s, it was a bit of a revolutionary time in arms development. What was happening, the U.S. had come out of Vietnam with the M16A1. The M16A1, a radical departure from traditional rifles. Most of NATO had gone to a 7.62 NATO 308 battle rifle. The U.S. had adopted the M14. The conditions in Vietnam basically led to it really is a radical departure from the existing weapons technology. No more wood and steel. We've gone to aluminum. We've gone to plastic. It's a very lightweight firearm. In Vietnam, it kind of earned it. They basically handed the troops in Vietnam in combat the M16. They didn't give them a lot of training. They didn't provide them with cleaning equipment. It hadn't been fully vetted, and they had a lot of problems. By 1968, 1969, they pretty well had solved those issues. It actually became a very reliable, well-liked firearm. What was happening is the adaptation of the 5.56 cartridge, basically a varmint round for use in military, had never been done before. It was very impressive. These things were equipped with a 1 in 12 barrel, 1 in 12 twist barrel. The little 55 grain bullet would go unstable. Basically, it would tumble on impact, and it was very effective. The Soviets had been using the AK-47. They were impressed, so they developed the AK-74 off of that. The 5.56 round was just starting to catch on. The Israelis, I guess part of it is they were very dependent on the U.S. for military aid in the time of a crisis, but they went from there. They were using an FAL derivative. They again dropped down to the 5.56, and they developed, with the help of Valmont in Finland, a 5.56 AK derivative known as the Galil. What was happening, the Russians, in supporting of their so-called utopian communist insurrections, were now providing AKMs and AKs to the third world. And they were providing them by the millions. Prior to the 70s, your typical Russian support would have included SKSs, the World War II era Mosin Nagants and PPSHs, as well as tons of captured German stuff. The 70s, now we're seeing AK-47s. Going into that, and I have, the Soviets had invaded Afghanistan, and in the mid-70s we started seeing pictures of the troops carrying a new rifle. We did not have any background on this. They had taken our 5.56 round. They liked that concept. They developed a 5.45 round. The AK-74 was a real mystery. One of my first jobs in the Marine Corps was as a range officer at Weapons Training Battalion in Quantico. One of the extra details I ended up helping with was we had captured a AK-74 from the Soviets in Afghanistan, and they brought it back to Quantico for testing. They took the best shooters in the Marine Corps, which I was not, and they wanted to see the accuracy and what this thing would penetrate. Since I wasn't one of the best shooters, I got to work in the butts and put targets up for everything. What we saw, we were shooting basically for score at 200, 300, and 500 yards. And we were also putting up our issue flak jackets and helmets to see what this thing would do. At 200 yards, it was fine. Once you started getting back to 300 and then 500, we had a hard time hitting anything with it. I think we went through most of the rounds trying to basically hit a helmet at 500 yards, which after about 100 rounds we were never successful. So it didn't have long-range accuracy, but the impact of that, especially when it hit something and then went through the target frame or the cardboard, left some huge holes in the cardboard. The Israelis, again, starting with the '73 war, they were looking for the reliability. They were facing the AKMs. Now, the one thing about the AKM is it's incredibly reliable in adverse conditions, so dust and snow and things that would generally shut down, our M16. These things continue to perform. So they wanted that performance, but they wanted it in a 5.56.
Okay, today we'll be shooting our course of fire. We have a whole series of pop-up targets. Basically, the first 5 shots are fired offhand. We're at a distance of 100 yards. We're using the 4 silhouette targets and the large gong target. At that point, we change magazines, go to a mag with 25 in it. We can drop down into a supported position. And as you can see, the targets are getting increasingly smaller and smaller. So if you finish the back row, then we have a whole series of pop-up targets here, and we finish with, we call it the hostage target. You're supposed to hit the terrorist and not the hostage. Ready? Go! Off one. Damn it. Start. Good shot. Start. Ready? Go.
That's all we got. Really.
Okay, we've completed our course of fire to test and evaluate these rifles from the 1970s. Basically, I'm going to ask you guys what your opinion is the best rifle for the period.
Most accurate, easiest to shoot, the M16.
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 Same. But it's
Same.
more reliability.
Yeah, I have to agree that the M16 outperformed both the Galil and the two AK variants. I'm starting to feel old because this stuff is 50 years old, but it was state of the art when I was on active duty.
The Galil is pretty easy to shoot. Same round, so you have a lot of the same characteristics in aiming and trajectory and all. I'd say that's probably the second for me. Like he said though, the reliability comes in a lot of the AK platform. You can't really beat that.
It seemed like we could barely hit the poppers with any of the AKs.
That's the bad thing about the AK. They are all over the place. You don't get a good grouping on them, so they're really a weapon that you have to spend a lot of time and practice to get to know the weapon, to get it on target accurately. Like I said, the M16 is the easiest. It's much easier.
All right, any other comments from? You had a perfect score, so.
I'm unbeaten. Can't touch me there.
All right, well, thank you very much.